Good morning, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoble, and you are on the lifeboat. Sorry, the cat's getting ready to destroy something, and I'm watching her, hoping she doesn't. Come here. Before I get into the thumbnail, because I'm probably not going to do great once I get into the thumbnail, I want to thank everybody that came by and watched last night with the interview I did with Reese. It was boy, I've gotten a lot of feedback, positive feedback on that interview, both here and on the other on Reese's channel as well. So very, very cute, cool. I don't remember having that much fun in an interview. It was and it was heavy. You know, it wasn't us farting around there until the end. But good morning, Piano Mom. So yesterday morning when I came on and I did the lifeboat, I said, it's weird because I get an email and I just get it like clockwork. He sends an email and I get a phone call. So this is his mom, and if we don't, then you check with the yard to see if it's locked down, right? And this man is a creature of habit like nobody you have ever seen in your life. Right? Everything he does, he just does exactly the same way every single day. And I suppose prison does that to you. It becomes the more of a routine that you do, the less that you feel like you're in prison, and the more you feel like maybe you're just a factory worker or whatever. But he was very, very methodical in what he does. So it was odd that he didn't reach out to us. And then I talked to his mom about an hour and a half ago, and she had been contacted to say that he is still in custody, but he is not. They had to move him off the yard, and that frightened the crap out of me because it's a medical facility. That's why I was on that yard, was because of the problems that I was having physically. But it's a medical yard. They have a really incredible medical facility there. There's a part of it that looks very much like a hospital, and then across the street is still part of the same compound, still part of the same prison compound, is an even larger medical facility. So it just seemed kind of odd that they would have to pack him up and move him out unless it was something rather serious. But they don't give you any kind of information, which is frustrating as hell. And I almost said her name. Q's mom, Mama Q, called up there after talking to me this morning and was able to raise a little bit of hell. And she said if she didn't get some information, then Q's brother was going to make them famous. So he slopped over while having coffee yesterday. When I say he's a creature of habit, he's a creature of habit. So he lives on the top tier with a 2 TV shot. If you've been living in the same unit for 30 years, you get a really good cell. But you can see 2 TVs. So when he gets up in the morning, he doesn't have to go down to the day room and do all the crap. He just gets his hot water for his coffee, and he comes back up and puts his chair against the wall and chills out there. And that is that's what he was doing yesterday when he just slumped over. Yesterday morning, and I knew this was a mistake. So I've had a couple of strokes, or one transient ischemic attack and one stroke, and your stuff. Your skin goes slack, and you just sort of. So he had something along those lines. Why they just can't say, here's the freaking diagnosis, I don't know, but we're waiting to we're waiting to hear a little bit more info. But I mean, it's obviously a stroke. It's just that I've had two, right? 1.5. So you can bounce back from them, especially he's younger than I am. So you can bounce back from those. But if it's if it's a hemorrhagic stroke, then it's something completely different. So now what we'll do is we'll just do this pins and needles shit until they're good and ready, or until he's back and can make a phone call. I guess I don't know. It's really barbaric, and I get it, right? They don't want, God forbid, we figure out where he is, we can go spring him, right? But I've been that guy too. When they take you out, they don't go in there with your name tag doesn't say your name on it. Your little wrist thing's got like 40 digits. It's just numbers and codes. But I'm sorry to hear about that, Jennifer. Jen says my stepdad had a stroke Monday night. Left side isn't good currently, but I have hope that God will heal. After after mine, it was over a year and a half before I was able to walk without some kind of assistance. And that was after I got stabbed and they took the cane away. They put me in a cell alone, and thought I shouldn't have a cane for whatever reason in the cell alone. So I put hands on each wall and just sort of walked back and forth all day and worked on it. But I used to drag one toe. I couldn't get that. It doesn't do it anymore. My husband has had 4 strokes, 2 minor, 2 significant. He's ambulatory after much therapy, which is ongoing. I never lost his faculties. He's 62. Prayer in the air for Q. Thank you so much. Red is the best color. Boy, I'll tell you what, you leave a really great comment. I read a few comments this morning, and you really, really good comments. Hey, Sup, Lizzie, good to see you. And Hummingbird, I'm glad you're here. Hello, Donna. Hi, Sandy Wendy. Tommy Bird, good to see you. You're right. I have a friend who went into that line of work, the hyperbaric oxygen stuff, treating people with traumatic brain injuries and strokes and such. Sherry, good to see you. Janine, Q is 6 years younger than I am. He's 47. Mike, he's 48. Sorry. And Hummingbird, you look fantastic. It's good to hear that you bounced back so well. She said she had a stroke 5 years ago. Yeah, it's just it is a very frustrating thing when the people you care about are outside of your reach. So, yeah. Seems like a recurring theme of late, to be honest with you. I should have put this off. I'm sorry. Mara says, my boyfriend had a stroke after the jab. I never left her side. She's back 100% now. It's maddening not being there for him in person. I'm so sorry. It's got to be, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. You know what? So thoughts and prayers would be really greatly appreciated. Hey, Spirit, good to see you. Simone's girl, I can't imagine what that had to have been like. And then to anyone who endured that, Lord. Wow. I had a mid-cerebral arterial infarction 9 years ago, Captain, and I still walk with a stick, but I'm getting there. I'm 57 now. I know exactly what you had. Good for you. Fantastic. So, did you Hey, Nick, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Mom, glad you're here. Hey, Doc. Cats, cats, bats, and flowers. I love that. Q is a fighter, to be sure. Q is a fighter and a warrior. And his mom is a pretty tough woman, too. I'm sure she's watching. And she yells at me more than my mother does, which is ironic. You really want to know the truth. But thank you, Matrix. So yesterday we did a heck of a show over here. If you have not seen the interview I did yesterday with Reese, you should really go and watch it. Uh, I'm not bragging, but I think that's one of the better interviews that I don't know. It's certainly one of the better interviews I've done, if not the best interview I've done on the boat. But there's I don't know. It's most of the interviews that we do here are very, very specifically to drug stuff, and I think that a lot of us watch interviews of second gens and of people that have escaped that mother, of people that got out of that cult, and we often find ourselves thinking, you know what? I wish that person had said this. I had a whole list of I wish that person had asked this kind of questions, and to be honest, I didn't even get through all of them. So I'm hoping that she's going to agree to do another one, and I'm sure she will, because I think that we did. I think it was a good show, and with the feedback, I think everyone else thought it was a pretty good show. It's probably the most feedback I've gotten. Certainly the most feedback I've gotten doing a show with Reese, but maybe the most feedback I've ever gotten. It's there's been an awful lot of people that have reached out to us about that. Yeah, you know what? It was an uplifting show, and I think in the process of being an uplifting show, I think you can highlight just how absolutely abhorrent and awful that cult is, and do it sort of by highlighting just how tough people who survive it are. And it's a pretty amazing juxtaposition, in all honesty. Sometimes you can sit and talk about the horrific things that happen for a really long time, but when you highlight people that are overcoming it, and one of the fascinating things about Reese is that he's doing it with the entire world watching. Let's think about it. She's been out a year, and her channel's been up 6 months, 6 or 7 months, or something like that. So this person escaped a cult and is allowing the entire world to watch the evolution. That's why I asked yesterday, if you saw the show, I asked and said, have you ever gone back and watched your early stuff? And I anticipated her saying, no, I don't go back and watch any of my stuff either. I don't think my brother does. This is an excellent question. Does the prison have a good team of doctors to treat strokes, or is he in a regular hospital? He is right now in a regular hospital. Now, on the bright side, if this had happened in, I don't know, pick any other yard, but the yard that he's on is a yard that has a hospital on the compound. Now, it's not a trauma center like you would have in the real world, but it is as close to a trauma center as you would have in the real world as you will have inside the gates of a prison. There's a pretty serious medical facility in there. TPA, which is the clot buster drug, would be on site, right? So if I would imagine that would have been administered there. Now, he may have popped right back up after that happened and started talking to him, and everything would be groovy. I had one of those. Like within a couple of minutes, I was sitting up talking. They still didn't let me leave. I spent about 3 or 4 days getting them to strap stuff up to your head, and you do all of these CAT scans and all of these, tests that they want you to do. And most assuredly, that's what's going on now. Mara, I have to wait 1 more year before I can go and see Q in person. There's a period of time that you have to be out of prison before you can do that. Now, normally it would be the amount of time that you're on probation after you leave. But they killed my probation early. But that doesn't mean that I can go in and see him. I still have to do what would have been the remainder of the probation time without screwing up before I'm allowed to go visit a federal inmate. But that time is going to be up by the summer. So by July, I will be able to go see him. And trust and believe I will. Absolutely. I will be there. But yeah, they would have had TPA. They would have had all of the the equipment there, which is a really good thing. You know what? I am too. The what they do here, what they always gave me was something they called the abbreviation for it they called was TPA. They call it the clot buster drug. Now you're limited with how many times you can have it in your life, apparently, and it turns your blood thinner than water. And if what you're having is a hemorrhagic stroke, then you're in real trouble because you will bleed out. I've told the story on the boat many times, but the first time that I had a basically a stroke. It was not a hemorrhage. I didn't bleed, but I had a blockage. And when they brought me in, thank you, Danny's mom. Thank you. And I appreciate that. I really do. I mean it. But when they went in and gave me the shot of the clotbuster stuff, I was with my wife then at the time, and we looked up, and there was like 25 people standing, and we were in the ER. Where I was not in a room, so there's just curtains and stuff. And the entire hospital, I mean, guys in suits, guys in ties, and they're all standing around watching. And it didn't occur to me till after they give you this bolus, and then they give you the full shot, and they're timing it. They're looking at the clock, they're looking at their watch, because if what you are is a bleeder, like if you're bleeding inside instead of just clotted up, then really bad things are going to happen to you in a really short period of time. And I remember my wife leaning down, and she's like, "Are they waiting to see if you're going to?" I said, "I think so. I think that's what they're waiting to see, is if this is," because after about 3 minutes, everyone was like, "Ah, great," a lot of high fives, handshakes, and everybody walked off. But it was a weird thing. You know what? I think that I've had my son on. I've had my son on the channel and done multiple interviews with him, with my son Spanx, and you all have seen him and you're getting to know him. And if you watch Reese's channel, you're getting to see Hux. You know what, Ma Q, I love you. I know you're watching, or at least listening. So I want you to know what I'm about to do is not offensive. I promise you, to Q's mom. This is not offensive. This is something we've talked about at length. And I've never done it here, but it seems like this is probably a pretty good time. She was 14 when she had Q. Can you imagine? Hux is 14. When you watch him on Reese's channel, can you imagine becoming a parent at that age? By your own admission, from 14 to 32 were not her best years. And she wasn't a tremendous mom. During that time, and this is something I can relate to. She and I can talk about things like this because I was not. There's a good chunk of time that I'm not particularly proud about as well, right? And the whole parenting thing. But it's incredible what kids endure and become in spite of. And she's a hell of a lot today. Tell you what, it's a true story. And she raised one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. Seriously, top 3. So we were watching Hux yesterday. I mean, he got kicked in the balls at 14. He really did. And it's painful. It really is. It's painful. But the kid's doing already. You know what I mean? Honestly, it's absolutely amazing. You know, I had my first baby at 16. She's about to be 16 next month. Congratulations. Congratulations. My boy came when I was 22. And I thought that was really, really young. But boy, it's not. Thank you. You have no idea how much I love you. I mean it. You're one of the kindest people in the entire world. Thank you. We're here to support you, Captain. Sending Q and Q's mom lots of love and prayers. Started my first therapy session today. I'm sorry. What? Started my first therapy session today. I realized that cult trauma runs deep 10 years later. Well, I'm so glad that you recently realized that. And I bet it was with the aid and assistance of a lot of fantastic people. Those kind of revelations usually come from great people. I'm glad that you're everywhere I see you, you know, because I feel like it's a whole lot of connection in a lot of the places that I see you at. And that's a really beautiful thing. And you know what? To say, hey, I had my first baby at 16. I've told the story before, but man, I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry. I should have had a tissue. All right. So I've told this story before, but I went back on a fugitive from justice warrant to go to the Northeast and go face a crime that wasn't even a crime. It was a bit of a bummer. But anyway, I was standing at that was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Hold on. Oh, damn, I wish you could have seen that from my point of view. This just came sliding across the floor. And oh, that is so funny. I cannot even begin to tell you how funny that is. Okay, so here's the deal. I'll do your little backup story, and it'll give the cult of Scientology a little fun too. We'll give them something to chew on and have some fun. When I was 16 years old, I was messing around with a friend of mine, right? Sexually. This friend was about 28 days younger than I was. But it made both of us under the age of 18. And in the state that I lived in, that's statutory rape. This was consensual and all of that jazz, but I didn't get in trouble. Nothing happened for about 4 or 5 years until her dad found a diary. And then, I got arrested. And then I just went, really, for this? And I just left. I left the state. I went and lived my life somewhere else. And then I got picked up at a rock concert, and they said, you got a fugitive from justice warrant, right, for this statutory. And I had to fly back. Now I'm 20-something. But I had to stay at a house in the town that I grew up in. And you talk about embarrassing. I grew up in a town this big. And I'm at this house, and the guy says that we're staying with, he was a French guy, one of the nicest people you ever met. He said, I hope you do not mind. I had a party in your honor. And I looked at my dad. I was like, I was kind of trying to lay low. You know what I mean? And about 70 people showed up for this party. I mean, it was a really, really big party, and every single person there knew why I was there. And I thought, oh, this is uncomfortable. And I had a beer in my hand. He was handing out cigars. He's, again, fascinating people. He was handing out Cuban cigars and regaling us with stories of World War II and sneaking onto trains and off trains. Fascinating. But there was a a guy in the room, like there was kind of a lull in the action. And there was a guy in the room that said, in 1967, I was parked on the village green. He said, and the cop pulled up behind me and caught me smoking a joint. And the guy's a lawyer in town, and everybody just kind of turned and looked at him. And I said, you got caught with weed here in town? He said, no, I got caught with an ounce of cocaine that was on the front seat. I got caught because I was smoking a joint. And I remember thinking, holy hell, I can't believe this dude just said this out loud, right? This is a small town, and every head kind of turned and looked at him like, this dude had a cocaine charge? And within 10 seconds, another guy said, I got my second DWI coming down the access road, right? Talking about the local ski area. And over the next 15 minutes, there was not one person in that room that did not cop to something in their past that they didn't want the world knowing about, with the exception of one woman who was probably in her 40s or 50s, but I dated her daughter. And she did not say anything. But when everyone was done, she said, amazingly, I never got arrested, but I think I did everything that everyone in this room just admitted to. There's something beautiful about some people who say something in a situation when you're a little uncomfortable. To say, you know what? Been there. Hey, had my first kid at 16. She's turning 16. God bless, man. You're such good people. You really are. You're such good people. It blows me away. Can Mama Q get to her son? No. Here's the thing. So Mama Q moved a very long time ago. And I know you weren't, and I'm sorry. Mama Q moved a very long time ago to be right near where he is so that they can visit as often as possible. And I'll be honest, I don't think the point system applies to him, right? There's a point system to how many times you can visit somebody a month. And you stay at the same prison for as long as he has, right? Running Unicorn and not getting in any trouble. And I promise you, they're not going to give you any crap about how often you get visits. So she moved there to be close to him. As I said, she didn't come out firing really hot as a mom. Probably a tough thing to do at 14. But she's hitting it out of the park now. Sorry. Such a lovely noise. It's been compared to a trumpet. There's also several animal sounds it's been compared to, including a pachyderm. Hey, Russ, good to see you. Morning. Russ can, you know what the crazy thing is? The crazy thing is I probably have a better idea of what's going on with him than the guys at Unicorn do. That's messed up. Truthfully and honestly, that's messed up. The guys that are going into work this morning that he's been working with for 30 years, I guarantee you don't have any idea where he is or what happened. So friggin' stupid. Angry goose sound. You know what? I've never heard that before. Doc, thank you. You look fantastic in green, and I mean that. You know, I have not heard the angry goose. But I'm adding it to the list because it's pretty good. Spanky got attacked by an entire horde of geese as a kid. We used to go to feed the ducks that lived right on the NASA Road 1 has a very large, where all the rockets are on their side, like you see in the movies. Well, that's a huge game preserve. The idea being they didn't want anybody near the facility. But when you block off that much land, all of the animals go, hey, so there are so many birds and ducks and everything. We would go just on the other side of the fence and we would feed them. And Spanky went running away from the car with 6 or 7 pieces of bread in each hand and just sort of went wadding into the middle. And because of the size of him, they were like, food. And I mean, by the time I shut the door, I couldn't even see him. There were There were so many birds surrounding him. It was horrifying. It looked like something out of a Hitchcock movie. Yeah, but when they're angry, they make a very, because I was kicking them profusely trying to get at my son. They make a very terrible sound when they're unhappy. Oops. Yeah. Norway, same thing happened to me and my pop. And I hate them still. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. And if you're a golfer, okay, you know, if you're a golfer, then you don't like them either. You don't think that geese need to be angry jerks. They just are. Perhaps they've done time. I know a lot of convicts that they're the exact same way. Maybe they've been convicted of something. I've always thought that about convicts. They don't need to be jerks, but so many just seem to be. Wow. So you are a goose whisperer? I had no idea. I didn't know that these things existed. Hey, Russ, we're proud of you for the ungodly hours you're working. You're right, Simone's girl. Their poop is everywhere. It's everywhere. It destroys a golf course. When that time of year comes, if you happen to be like where your golf course is, if you happen to be someplace where they come in the winter, forget it. It is the most disgusting thing in the entire world, and it's everywhere. You tee off, your ball lands in geese crap. You lay it up by the green, guaranteed it's going to be in geese. It was so bad that I worked at a golf course that was allowing you to pick up and clean your ball pro forma every single time. They lift and clean because there was so much crap all over the course that you never got a decent lie. Yes, Tommy is a goose kicker. I've done it. I apologize. It's the truth. Now, in my defense, someone will make a short out of this, by the way. Right? It'll be a PETA thing. You're going to hear me say, so here, I'll make it easier for them. Yes, I kicked those geese. I dug it. I was waiting in there. No, honestly, I was going in there tough because I was pretty worried about my son. Thank you so much. I want to tell you something, people. Your thoughts and prayers are really what I was looking for. There's not much that goose hacky sack is a great concept. And with the size of them, it would make it so much easier. There really is not much that anybody can do. If I were to fly out there, they wouldn't let me visit them, right? Somebody said earlier, I would fly you out there. I love that. You're the kindest people in the world. If I were able to see him, I'd be on my way. I promise you, I'd have done this from the road. It's where I'd be. It's just not something that's a possibility just yet. And their poop is gross. You're absolutely right. It's disgusting. It sticks to virtually everything. It'll mess up a golf ball. You literally got to, it's just. Can you imagine? The poop has ruined, or I should say it like Stewie Griffin from Family Guy. The poop has ruined the lake I used to kayak and row race boats on as a teen. They used to call them, but the weirdo people complained to the council. Yeah. You know what? Here's the thing. I worked at a golf course and we had these things that they call nutria. Now, there are some people from down south that are going to know what I am talking about, right? Nutria look remarkably like really, really good sized rodents. Pick your favorite rodent, whatever, rat, but they're big and their teeth glow in the dark, and they're about 6 or 7 inches long. I might be exaggerating slightly on the length of the teeth. And the fact is, they may not completely glow in the dark, but they are very glow in the darky, kind of. And they're longer than a rodent's teeth ought to be in the front. And they use those teeth like a rake, right? And they just go into dirt like this, and they just keep raking until they find grub and stuff that's in there. But they do it on the sides of ponds and lakes and just destroy them. They just keep, so the water levels get lower and lower because they just keep making the stuff bigger and bigger and bigger. And they'll do it under bulkheads. They'll do it around bulkheads. And we were not allowed to do anything about them because people had said, it's cruel and blah, blah, blah. This is when Spanky was a really little boy. I worked at a golf course right after I had married his mom. And one day, the people from the state showed up. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and my boss called me into his office. I was an assistant greenskeeper. I say that doesn't mean much, but I was studying, chinch bugs, manganese. A lot of people don't even know what that is, manganese. Sorry, I thought I would work at a Caddyshack reference. Anyway, I get called into the head greenskeeper's office, and he says to me, there'll be no money. No, he said, how would you like to take a gun at 5 o'clock every single morning, take a gun and a flashlight and go out and see if you can kill these nutria? And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, we're basically in Houston, right? And I said, you want me to go out with a gun? He said, well, they're 22s. They don't make a whole lot of noise. And they did have what was the equivalent of a silencer, like a suppressor. It was about that long on the end of the rifle. So it did not make a lot of noise. It was it's not like the movies where it goes, because you hear of the slide. It actually, but you don't hear the explosion of the gun. You just hear the mechanics of the gun. But the guy said, yeah, kill as many of them as you can. And this was a state thing. They said they're out of control, because nobody was there was no predators to take them out. And they had gotten just complete, and they're so bold that they were like, trying to get into people's houses and doing. So, yeah. You get $5 a tail from Fish and Game for nutria in Washington. Do you know something? Spanky would not be working right now if they had given me $5 a tail. I'm not joking you. I did this for about 5 or 6 months, and every day I would just look, because there was 3 of us that did it. And every day I would look at the guy and go, where do they come from? How can there be this many of them? Like the very first day we went out, I'm not trying to bum anybody out if you're a rodent fan, but the first day we went out, between the 3 of us, we probably took out 70, right? So you come in and I, come home, tell the wife, I'm like, I think we got that nutria thing under control. We knocked that out, those pesky things that, and we went back the next day. And I mean, every day for like 6 months, you could literally just take that out every single day. The way they reproduce is terrifying. Yes, this is it. This is exactly what happened to Spanky, except I used my foot. And so did his mom, to her credit. His mom took no crap when it came to her kid. For real. She went running in there absolutely fearless. She was swatting at birds too. In fact, I wish I had that on film. That would have been great. It was really a pretty cool moment, except for the panic and poor Spanky. But when it was all over, actually, we waited until we got him home. At that point, we were fairly decent parents, because when we got home and we had him tucked away and everything else, we literally died laughing. Because that first moment where he went wading in like this, they just went like you could not see him. He disappeared. Right before it got frightening, it was really, really funny. Sweet. I am too. I don't like them. I cannot stand them. Okay, look, are we all in agreement we're not huge geese fans? Because I can tell you another funny, really geese story, but some people might not like it. Q has been in prison his entire life, 30 years. He has been in prison 30 years. 30 years. You know what, Mara? You have to be very careful when you say something on this channel where you say Seinfeld and funniest episode, because number one, there are a lot of Seinfeld fans on this channel. A lot. And it is one of those things that people tend to be wildly opinionated on. And we have a bit of, I would almost call the person a Seinfeld aficionado. But the reason I won't is because technically Seinfeld takes a second place to their love and study of Caddyshack 2, their favorite film. And anyone whose favorite film is Caddyshack 2, you got to be a little suspect of anyway. But it is a great episode. I don't think anyone is going to bum out about that. I took out a goose by accident with a 3-wood, not the club itself, but I hit a ball that hit a goose and killed it. And the funniest part of that was I caught the ball so far on the tip of the club. If I had hit this like any legit golfer on earth, that bird would have been safe. The reason that it was funny was because it was such a bad shot that I had to leave the state to have people stop picking on me for it. I don't live there anymore, but the entire time I lived there, I heard about it. Wow. Nutria love marshmallows. We fed them as a kid. They didn't scare the crap out of you. Honest to goodness, they didn't scare you. Oh man. I looked at those things. I was an adult. I already had a kid. I thought those were the scariest. Could have been a gander. Thank you, Tommy Bird. Could have been a gander. We say that one all the time, but is Q in for life, no parole? You're looking at Q's parole. This is it. The lifeboat is Q's parole. I need to build this big enough that I can get the attention of somebody that will get him out. Now, that's not as much of a pipe dream as it might sound like. I'm already in contact with people because of the boat. We've already moved forward in a pretty big way on this case because of people from the boat. There are paralegals. Yeah, see, that's not an attractive animal. Now, see the teeth, Calhouni? Look at them. Tell me that isn't glow in the darky. You see that yellowish thing? Look at that. They're glow in the darky. I will stand on what I said. And they look like they have an attitude problem. I mean, they're cute rodents. Look at the mouth on that. It's doing this one. What? Right? It's got that look like. I'm telling you, they're not nice. Davey says they're adorable. Davey, you can't do that. Mischief Managed gets it. Orange teethers. Yes, but they look as if they glow in the dark. As a rule of thumb, do you like anything with orange teeth? Honestly, when you're swiping on your app, isn't that what you do? Is it a swipe or am I screwing that up? When you're swiping he gave me the thumbs up. When you're swiping and you come across the cat with the orange teeth, do you go, oh, there it is. Oh, how are you? That's lovely. See the teeth? That's not a good look. That's not a good look, people. They eat trees, not people. I believe they eat trees, but those beavers eat trees. Those right there actually eat grub and stuff from the dirt. They destroy anything that has, still cuter than a porcupine. I beg to differ. Yes, they're scary. You know what's with a bad attitude? I'm going to go with that. Rodent in a cute suit. No. Speaking of cute suits, I donned the fur last night. I don't know if you saw that. Which animals do I like? Well, almost all of them, right? I don't like the ones whose teeth glow in the dark. Excellent point. Drop the microphone, Amber. In fact, you can spike it like a football. There you go. L. Ron Hubbard had orange teeth. Good enough. There we go. Doesn't that pretty much sums it up? Archie's mom, thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Do you have any idea how much I love seeing the pound symbol? I just love that. I don't know what it is. In her humble opinion, as a rule of thumb, you like Anthony with orange teeth, swipe left. Words to live by. Yeah, see? Swipe left. It might be L. Ron Hubbard reincarnated. Interesting. No, he would have come back as a, and then, you know what? Is that not funny? All right, you understand the tenets, right? Listen, if you go to one of the weirdo, if you go to one of the towns where this is thick, like you go to Clearwater or you go to LA, and you will come across people who have run ads. Pardon me while I call those geese. Thank you. You will see ads that somebody who's 75 years old runs that says, "Good morning, Don in Wyoming." Someone runs an ad that says, "I'm 78 or I'm 79. I'm getting ready to drop this body." If you're pregnant, right, and you've got someone coming in, let me give you a list of all of my accomplishments as a Scientologist, because I'd kind of like to come into the child you're about to have. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm not playing games. These are ads that are run, right? So L. Ron Hubbard would probably, he looks quite a bit like the Nutria, but I think he should have if he wasn't completely full of crap, right? Shouldn't he have popped back up and been like, hey, here I am. Remember me? I'm back. I was going to finish that OT 9, 10, 11, and 12 stuff, right? Possums are cute. Brianna, I have been on the same page with you for so long. I really have. I have agreed with you on virtually everything for so long, but you have just scared me viciously. Yeah, that's frightening. Possums, they might be even a little bit uglier than nutria. They have that big white tail thing that looks like the guy from Alien, right? Or Predator. No, Alien. With the things that look like dreadlocks, but they're white. Mouth open thing. Okay. That looks like possum tails to me. His whole hair looks like a thing of possum tails. Bunnies, there you go. See, bunnies. Nobody ever went, it's a bunny, right? Except for Monty Python. Possums have no fear and it's unsettling. Oh, yeah, that's an attractive animal. Oh, you know what, Calhoun? You stink because you actually sought out to find the 3 cutest possums you could in America, right? That is a cute possum look. He's laughing because he knows I'm telling the truth. You did pick the cutest one. See, find me what a real possum looks like. You know how long we've been talking about possums for 6 minutes. That's how long it took him to find one that wasn't terrifying looking. Yeah, you little turncoat. Can't even be trusted. He's my own kid. Possums are useful. They eat ticks. I didn't know that. See, alley-oop news knows. Just Google nutria. Holy crap, they're scary looking. Yeah, they are scary looking. And they have teeth like L. Ron Hubbard. I am ready. There's a man in the funny papers we all know. Alley-oop. There you go. How you doing? Leave that up there for a sec, Calhoun. For those of you of a specific age, do you see that mouth? Tell me that's not right out of Beetlejuice, the first one, when the guy goes and pulls his face back because he's going to try to scare them out of the house. The Dietzes. Yeah, that's what he does to his grill when he's trying to scare the Dietzes out. Then he goes like this, pops his eyeballs out, sticks them in the back of his throat. You know what I'm talking about. That is the look. Anybody want it? Beetlejuice. Thank you, Lady Hummingbird. Yeah, thank you, Lady Hummingbird. I guarantee you she put that up before I started talking about it. It is. Yeah, see, it is. Holy crap. Yep, Beetlejuice. Yes. Swipe left. Orange teeth to the left. The possums in Los Angeles look way different than the possums in Illinois. You know what? I found that with convicts. I'm not joking. Convicts in Texas look different than convicts in California, look different than convicts. I'm not even being funny. You just get those, it's a subtle thing. But I've not seen a California possum. The only possums I have had the misfortune of running into have been in the state of Texas. And I want to tell you something. One of the funniest things, you look back in your life and you think of embarrassing moments. You don't want your embarrassing moments caught on film. If you're like most people, you wouldn't want that. But I think back to a couple where I think, as much as that was really awful, I think it would have been fun to have on film because the world would have loved it. Like I was once parked at a rest area, right? And I had Spanky in the back seat. He was sleeping in his car seat, and his mom was asleep in the passenger seat. We were on a road trip, and I'm asleep, just sitting behind the wheel, just sort of like And as I woke up, I was parked between like 2 very large trucks. So one of them is moving, right? The thing has just started to move out. But as I wake up and I see the thing, I think that my car is rolling, right? I don't think that both trucks, by the way, are moving at the same time. So I think that my car is rolling backwards, right? And with my wife and my kid in it. And I freak out as much as you could freak out at something like this and jam my feet on the brakes as hard as I can with both feet and grab the steering wheel like this. And in the process of doing so, woke up my my wife, right? Who just looked over at me like this and went, nice. like she realized exactly what had gone on. And I thought to myself, if that had been on film, that would have been one of the most viral moments. And Spanky's probably dying because his mom is just not, like, that's not the response you would have expected from his mom, but just the way she said it, nice. And I said to her, I thought I was rolling backwards. She was like, yeah, I figured that out. Um, but that was one that I wish I had on film. Love, light, and good thoughts to Q and his mom and to Tommy and everyone on the boat. Thank you so much, Mile High Hokey. Your team possum. Well, the reason I told you that first story was to set up the second, because the other one that I really wish I had on film, when Spanky was about maybe 2 years old, we had just when we first got married, we got an apartment at noon. If you're going to rent an apartment at noon, go back at midnight before you rent it at noon. Like, we walked out of there and we had gone to like 20 apartments, right? Just right before we're getting married. We're getting all set up. And my then wife said to me, I cannot believe how much less expensive this is than everything else around, and it's bigger. It's just, this place is perfect. The reason the place was so inexpensive was because at midnight, it sat between 3 nightclubs, right? And they look like strip malls, but they are nightclubs. And at night, the place was terrifying. So we had to move. And we moved to an apartment that butted up. Our backyard was NASA Road, was the NASA Johnson Space Center, right? We had the big fence. We were on the game preserve, backed up to it. So there was wildlife everywhere. And I used to put my trash just outside the door. We lived on the second floor. Instead of taking it all the way down to the bins, I would leave it there. And then when I would leave the following morning, I would take it out. Well, one day I went out to put a second trash bag out, because I obviously didn't take the first one out the following day. And my foot came in contact with one of those possum, right, who was enjoying the first bag of food that I had left there, or trash rather. I, at the time, was probably, I don't know, 245 pounds, right? 6'2", 245 pounds, and doing a lot of weightlifting, doing a lot of steroids, tanning, you know what I mean? Like, it was that juncture of my ridiculous life. But I was a big dude. And I went from the big dude who lifted weights to the Girl Scout I'm talking about a split second. And I made a sound that I promise you, my voice isn't high enough to make, right? I made a sound that normally would have come out of you just would have expected to hear it maybe from someone of a different gender, right? It was very, very high and very, very kind of squealy, and had it was a shriek. There's no other way to put it. I shrieked, much like, I don't know, a 5-year-old girl might the first time she saw a spider. That was kind of the sound, except it was a little bit louder and a little bit more shrill. In the process of doing this, I might have jumped up and backwards, right, to the point where I hit the wall behind me, right? So this made a really loud sound. The process of doing this, it also had one of those lights that looks like the Statue of Liberty held. You know what I'm talking about? So there was a light right by my front door that had a little handle on it, like the statue would be holding. My shoulder hit the bottom part of that, and I snapped that part of it, which was just didn't serve a function other than beauty. Snapped that right off in the process. But when all of this stopped, I had hit my butt and started crabbing backwards in fear that this thing was going to come up and get me. What I found is they play dead, which is where this whole playing possum thing goes. Because when I scared the crap out, when it scared me, I scared it, and it just went and stopped moving. So I ran inside and I got my wife to come out and kick the thing off the edge, because at that point I couldn't breathe. Yeah. But the punchline is, directly across to the left was a guy that I used to see every single morning when I would go to work. When I was getting into my car, he was getting into his. I would see him every single morning. And he looked at me, and he didn't laugh. He didn't mock me. There was none of that, right? He just kind of looked over at me, and then he went back into his house. And when I was getting into the car the following day, he didn't say a word. But a few days later, he said to me, "Was that a possum the other night?" I said, "Yes, it was. Touched it with my foot." He said, "Oh, I hate those things." I wanted to go, "Please don't tell anybody about the voice thing. Maybe you could tell him I yelled, 'Hey,' off the porch," or something like that. But it did not. Yeah, your mom's tough. Your mom actually went out there and just handled it. Normally, now I'll tell you something before you start judging me, right? Anytime I needed to go hurt a human, right, or protect it from a human, I was there. It was I, I'm not a big fan of those. And if they don't sneak up on me, I'm not afraid of any animal in the world except a spider. Right? Spiders, I forget it. But if they're and snakes, I'm not a huge fan of snakes either. But if they're not sneaking up on me, like if I can see where they are, I feel like I can fight damn near anything. Right? But I don't like coming upon something and then having to touch my foot. Ah, you know what I mean? There's just things that should never come in contact with a human being. And a possum and its disgusting little rat-like tail should never oh. Huh. Your grandmother would stomp on mice barefoot. I'm sorry. Could you say that in my good ear? Where are you from? That grandma used to step on mice barefoot. I want to meet this woman. There are scorpions in Arizona. Yes, there are. Mischief managed. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Someone just became an ensign. Rip Curl Readiness. Good to see you, Rip. It was good to see you last night, too. Some great comments from Rip. Not only are there scorpions in Arizona, but in the prisons in Arizona, scorpion fighting is a huge thing. I'm not being funny. They're really into it. Your neighbor would call you to empty her mouse traps. Piano Mom, I'm going to say something because I saw a comment that you left yesterday. You said that you were heading into to town to get your teeth looked at. I used to get my teeth done by a guy named Dr. Van M. In that same town. Grew up with his kids. Good kids, too. They might have gone a few wild years, but everybody does. Note, don't kill an opossum on your property. Remove them first. The drop dead, all the best critters that got. I'm sorry. You know what, Kathleen? I'm not sure exactly what that. I don't understand what that means. I want to read it, but I don't understand what that means. You know what, though? I really do like raccoons. But you know why I like raccoons? And I know, I mean, they have hands, right? Which is cool, right? That I kind of like that. But the reason that I really dig them is because they wear that cool mask, right? I mean, they're like nature's little thieves, and they have a little thief mask on. If you've never seen them go up to a trash can, like you put the little things down and you close the lids, and they're up there like, oh, how's this work? Oh, padlock, right? I mean, they're a slick animal, man. They're really, really cool. You hate spiders and centipedes too. Too many legs. And stink bugs. Illinois has way too many of those. You know, I think we can probably agree that, with the exception of a handful of you weirdos, I say that in all due respect, right? No, not judging any of you weird people who there's something so wrong with that you're just not right. No judgment. But except for that really small segment of bat crap crazy people, nobody likes bugs. Right? I mean, there are some people out there that study them. What are they called? They're entomologists, right? Isn't it entomology? Is that the study of bugs? Am I wrong? I think that might be it. It's my birthday. Deeming. Where are you going, Kat? It is my unbirthday. Happy birthday to Deeming. I am tempted to bust out in song. Happy birthday, Deeming. Happy birthday to you. I mean it. I hope this is a fantastic birthday. You know what? What do you think, people? How about a birthday quad? Huh? How about a birthday 4? Can we do that? Oh, I got you. I got you. I got you. I got you. So having the possums around your property, they take care of other foul stuff. You know what? This may sound crazy to a lot of you, right? This may sound crazy to a lot of you. But one of the greatest things about where I live, yeah. There's a few rattlesnakes. They're out there. We've got some javelinas. They're kind of nasty, right? They're a smelly pig. They got kind of a thing going. They're kind of nasty. And there's, we do have a big spider, but they're so big that they don't sneak up on you. You know what I mean? Like tarantulas, of all of the spiders on the spider world, they're the least foul to me of all of them. Is the hairy tarantula. Calhoun, if you pick up a scary picture of a tarantula, I can watch his evil little. He went. I'm gonna get to pull up a spider. You sicko. Yeah. But the point is, living in a desert like this, there's a lot of animals I don't think can survive here. I don't think a possum's going to do real well out here. We have very cute rodents. We have prairie dogs. You have no clue how cool a prairie dog is unless you've seen one. It's kind of like watching that meerkat manor thing, because they stand up, except they're only about this tall. They're really, really teeny, but they're cool and they're everywhere. And squirrel chases them from window to window, watching them, which is really fun. You know something? I was thinking of you the other day because I watched a PBS in Albuquerque, New Mexico, was doing one of their drives. If you're not familiar with this, PBS, public broadcasting here in the United States, are funded, in theory, by donations from people just like you. Of course, really about 70% of that is probably coming from tax dollars. I don't remember how much of it, but a ton of it is funded by grants from the government. Nevertheless, they do these drives to bring money in from people. And they're all like Saturday Night Live sketches. They really are. But they did the Bee Gees from, the time they were this big, right? Barry was, 16 or something, and his brothers were, 3 or 4, and followed them from the black and white days pre-Beatles all the way up until, a couple of days ago. You would all loved it. Spanky and I were in the hotel room. We were having a very good time, and Johnny was in a different hotel room. He and Foy, we stayed in different rooms. But I texted him. I said, "You got to be watching this. You have got to be watching this." I'm sure I don't know what you mean, but I have a feeling this might be a poop reference. I think this may be a reference to when you really need to go to the bathroom yesterday. Florence, you know something? I love this. And it's a statement you can say. There are other people, peekaboo, there you go, Kellen. You can absolutely jam to the Bee Gees. Back me up on this. Oh, you can jam to the Bee Gees. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. I am a fan. I'm not afraid to say it. There you go. I'm a fan. In fact, I think the ultimate concert would have been the Bee Gees, right? Right around toward the end, like the one night only, toward that end of the career kind of stuff. Opening up for ABBA. I could have gone the other way around. ABBA could have opened up for the Bee Gees, could have done either way. But the two of them in concert would have been, that would have been the top of the food chain, I'm telling you. Kathleen, I do not have a link to this, but let me see if I can find one. And if I can, I'll put it up in one of the drop boxes. I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. If not, I will find out what it was called, because the tribute was based on a book. The Bee Gees and ABBA, right? Come on. The Bee Gees and ABBA. If we were going to go disco heaven, I probably would have brought in Gloria Gaynor, right? She's huge. I would have brought in Donna Summer if she was still around. Donna Summer, I think, was probably, to me, more disco than anybody else. She was the queen of disco, in my opinion. I know. Do you know something? There are Steely Dan. I don't want to bum anybody out, but there's no more Steely Dan as of yesterday. That was the end. So the two guys from Steely Dan are Becker and Fagan, and one had died previously, but if my memory serves me right, it was not the singer. It was not the one that did most of the singing. Now, unfortunately, we've lost the other. So the Steely Dan is no more. By the way, anybody know where they got their name? It's from a book. It's from a book by Burroughs. Booyah! It's from a book by Burroughs. Yes, rest in peace, Steely Dan. Barry Manilow and the Bee Gees wouldn't be a bad show. It's not a bad thought. You know what, Goosebumps? I am really, really happy. Bee Gees in Our Own Time. Thank you, Calhoun, on PBS. Well played. Uh, Let me tell you something about Steely Dan. I saw Steely Dan in concert with Spanky's mom, and uh, it was fantastic because they hadn't toured in 20 some odd years, right? And when we first got married, I mean, literally, this was like a wedding night thing, right? The night we got married, we were sitting around and we were talking about music and concerts, and we made like a wish list of if you could see any band you ever wanted to see, what would it be? And it was like the Beatles were on there. We had a list of people you can't see because they're dead. Like it was the ultimate wish list, and then the wish list that you could see because they're still alive. And we actually knocked a bunch of those bands out, but we had put Steely Dan down. We had put the Eagles down. Neither of them were together, and we ended up seeing both of them. But I was driving in the car, and the radio voice, where they get really, really deep. And the voice came on and said, 25 years of silence. Becker, Fagan, Steely Dan. And his mom was like, pull over. Because back then, you had to go find a phone and call Ticketmaster. Like you just couldn't, pardon me, right? Back then, it was really seeing a concert required a whole lot of effort. You saw Pat Benatar? Good for you. Although maybe you didn't, because I like to do stuff like that. I like to, like he says, I'd like to see Pat Benatar again. Well, I'd like to sleep with Pat Benatar again. I've never slept with Pat Benatar, but in the 80s, I wanted to sleep with Pat Benatar. And now I want to sleep with her again. You see what I did there? So I assume that you actually saw her, but I never did. I would love to see the keyboardist died, not Donald Fagen. Fagen is still alive, you're telling me? So, okay. I thought we had lost Becker already. Oh, so it wasn't even that. Man, that's bad news reporting. I'm unhappy. I'm happy, but I'm unhappy. I hate that. Thank you for that. Moody Blues and the Doobie Brothers. That really would have been a good concert. I love the Moody Blues. Grace Slick got to sleep with every rock star she fancied at the time. What an epic woman. You can run into Grace Slick. She one of my favorite. I've talked about this so many times. I know that all of you are probably sick of hearing this, but she, if you go to Maui, Grace Slick has a shop in Maui. She's like a art studio, art gallery. And but I saw her back in the late 80s, early 90s, and they had just come off of a super successful tour to promote their album Knee Deep in the Hoopla for Starship. So it would have been late 80s, early 90s. I think that was the name of the album. I mean, the tour was Knee Deep in the Hoopla, and they were just coming off, and they were super, super popular. And they said to her, what's the next step for the band? You guys going to do another album? Are you going to tour again? And she said, you know what? Rock and roll is a young people's game. No one would want to see Mick Jagger walking across the stage at 65 or 70. Can you imagine? Literally, that's the quote. You can go and look it up. And this summer, Mick Jagger is going back on tour again. But Grace Slick bowed out. And you know what? I think she did it when she was at the top. And you can see her. The last time I saw her, a picture of her hair is all gray. She looks absolutely gorgeous. She really does. She has just aged beautifully. I love Grace Slick. I'm a fan, but she's aged beautifully. Taylor is touring right now. I saw James Taylor I've told the story on here too many times, but I've seen James Taylor too. I really have just told that story way too many times. You would love to see Rush. Sucker for good drummers. Is he still alive? Did Pert beat cancer, Johnny Scoville? My brother would know. He's a huge Rush fan. Is Neil Peart still alive? Yeah, Neil Peart passed. Sorry. Yeah, he was the best drummer that, of my life, Yeah, I didn't. I never had a chance of seeing Zeppelin. He died in 2020. I sound like what's her name? Barbara Walters. Babs. 2020. Guns N' Roses is touring, but I don't want to see Axl now. I wanted to see him in 1993. Ooh. I'll tell you what, I did not see him in 93, but I did see him in the 90s. AC/DC Montreal Forum. I saw everybody in the Montreal Forum, but I did not see AC/DC in 83. Whoa, that would have been a good year. 83, what tour was that? Back in Black or one of that? That had to be one of the great tours. You saw Sting and Peter Gabriel. Nice. Pearl Jam. I'll tell you something that's really funny. So, Korn, you're familiar with the band? I'm doing it, Johnny. Stop it. Oh, no, I'm doing it. Okay, I can't. I've been told not to. Frankie Valli is performing in Boston. He's 89 years old. Wow, I can't believe Frankie Valli is 89. All right, peeps.
What is the largest phone?
Sorry. I have to this one is that is going to be Mrs. Q's wall. I'm gonna go and take and make a phone call. But I will be live again today, people. I'm gonna keep you in the loop as much as I can as well. I know a lot of people care deeply for Q. I'm gonna keep everybody updated. But Spanky's going to work today.
False alarm. I don't go to work until this evening. I read the PM as AM.
Oh, that's fine. Fantastic. That gives me a lot more I can do then.
Yeah, they got me on that.
When did I see Guns N' Roses? I saw, sorry, I got to answer this one real quick. I saw Guns N' Roses Appetite for Destruction. How's that? That was the tour that I saw for Guns N' Roses. It was to promote Appetite for Destruction. The album was already out. They were opening for Aerosmith, and the tour was called Done with Mirrors.
You're on the night train.
That would have been 1989. Not on the night train.
Yeah,
we got her on
song.
here, you know that. We have Rocket Queen. Yeah, she's going on the cruise too, I think. Oh, Rocket
Nice.
Queen. Oh yeah. It's a very interesting song. There's a if you research that song, the recording of it is very. Does Spanx have a French press for coffee? I'm not sure if I've ever mentioned this, but conservatively speaking, every French press on planet Earth
belongs to me.
That's right. If you have a
Just
French
kidding.
press, it is simply because we're letting you use it. Don't know how this happened, but somehow along the way, I ended up with all of them. They think I'm being funny, Calhoun. I have
Just
all
kidding.
of them.
Do you?
Yeah.
Let me get them.
Garage is full.
You're not even using them. No, this is mine.
I have so many of them you wouldn't believe it. I don't know how it happened. I think it was when.
Do you have big ones? I need a huge.
You know who?
Yes.
You know what? If I say I can't answer that question without somebody saying something funny about it. Let's put it this way. I should imagine there's an entire selection.
Say something funny about it?
No. By the way,
all right, Mischief. We'll send
do you know
one.
what I'm drinking this morning? Let me not mess this up, Johnny Scoville. What am I drinking this morning? What kind of coffee?
John Coffee.
No, not John Coffee. You know what? Convict.
Tommy has big ones.
How about Convict coffee?
I'm drinking Cafe Bustelo. Isn't that what they have in the joint?
I don't think you understand. I'm drinking a coffee called Convict Coffee.
That's what it's called.
It is a coffee that somebody sent to me. Now, I'll tell you what, don't know who, because as often is the case, there is no accompanying letter, right? But I was sent 3 boxes of this, and it says on there that part of the proceeds go to help fight crime. I'll be really honest with you. I have come to a point in my life where I love the idea of fighting crime. believe it or not. They use Cafe Bustelo in the joint, not in any joint I'm in, hippie chick. I promise you, that is not. There is a coffee brand called Criminal Coffee.
Criminal.
Maybe that's what I'm calling drinking. It might be criminal. Hold on one second. Calhoun, entertain the folks.
Entertain the folks.
What that?
Oh,
That's what happens. He gets up, walks away, and I sit down. How you guys doing? Good to see you, Spanx.
Good to see you. He can't hear me, but that's okay. We'll allow it, won't we?
Did you realize if somebody just sat down, today's the first day they see Tommy in life, and they realize like, Tommy gets up and sits down, and they turn away for 1 second. They're like, "Did he put a sweatshirt on?" Yeah.
Criminal Coffee Company is what it's called. But here's the real punchline to this. The punchline is we're going into the office to get our stuff yesterday. The mail guy is in there, and he had his, I think it's his daughter. If it's not, the guy that runs the mail room has a very young employee. I don't know if it's his daughter, if it's just a young girl. Super nice people. Super nice people. And when we cruised in there to get this stuff, it said Criminal Coffee on the outside of the box. And my brother goes, "Oh, this has got to be for you." And the guy behind the counter just started laughing hysterically because obviously he's checked out both channels because he knew where my brother was going with that one. But there's no note. If you sent that, reach out to me. Let me know. I love the coffee. Right there was 3 different kinds, but one is really good. So yeah,
One
that's
is
you. Reach
really
out.
good. Which one's
No,
the
one-
really good one? I want that one.
I'm going to bring some and let you try it today, but I'm not going to taint you with which one I think is the best. You're going to tell me which one you think is the best.
I like that.
There are 3 very distinctive kinds. Spanx has beautifully expressive eyebrows. You know where you get that, right?
They are
Like-
moving today. I noticed that.
3 marvelous men. Wow. What a nice thing to say. Carol Barnard, thank you. This is how I would like to end this today, people. Criminal Coffee is made by 2 YouTubers? Shut the front door. If you're those 2 YouTubers, reach out to me.
Thanks,
I
Davey.
like your coffee. I really do. I like your coffee. I would love to I would love to talk to you about your coffee. I dig it. I really do. I dig it. It's good coffee. It's not just which one of you is Dusty Bottoms? I'm not going. Yes, Crime Weekly's Coffee Company. They fund steps to solve cold installed cases. Why? Wow. I had no idea.
That's pretty neat.
Wow. 2 true crime YouTubers at that. Well, I don't know if they reached out or if one of you who's a fan of them just sent me the stuff. I have no idea how it happened, but I love the coffee. I'll have to research it more. All right, people, please pray for my friend and his mom, right? Because as any of you who have kids can probably only imagine how difficult this has got to be when you can't get information. Come on. She doesn't want to jump up here, apparently.
Do you guys want to know something funny? Usually
Sure.
I can't shut up. I do a lot of talking, but my dad is the same way. He does quite a bit of talking. And for some reason, when you guys get to see me, I don't do a whole lot of talking. And it's weird because my normal state, and my dad doesn't get to see it a lot either because of our dynamic. But it's interesting. You guys get to see this quiet, stoic version of me that really doesn't show its face very often. It's kind of neat.
I don't know that. I don't really remember you being particularly quiet.
Right?
Yeah. To get a word in. Well, especially if a microphone's around, it kind of is one of those. Do you know who just climbed up?
Well, oh, look at that. Hi,
You
Squirrel.
want to say something, Squirrel?
We love you.
No. She didn't. I gave her the microphone and everything. She wanted no part of it. All righty, peeps. Please pray for my friend, and please pray for his mom. This is going to be a rough few days. Sorry. Hold on one second.
You're all right.
He makes criminal coffee.
Yeah, that couch is pretty sweet, huh? My dad hooked it up.
You know what, Flick Fox, you seem to know an awful lot about this. Why don't you shoot me an email if you don't mind? Can you do that for me? Because I don't know, that kind of back story would help me. But if I try to go back and read it, I'm never going to get it. If you could just take 2 seconds and shoot me an email and anything you know, because it sounds like you know a little bit about that. But that would be great. Alrighty, people, pray for my friend. Thoughts, prayers, whatever you do. I just and for his mom. She really is a beautiful human being. Spanky, thanks for all you do.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm super stoked I don't have to go to work right now. Man, I can do all kinds of stuff this morning.
Kristen, what a beautiful thing to say. That is absolutely a beautiful thing to say.
Thank you, Kristen. That means a lot.
It does. It really does. Hey, paint it black. I'm glad that you caught it. By the way, people, you know what's going to happen? I'm telling you what's going to happen. I'm probably not going to put up a post. And I'll tell you why. I find that if I say I'm going to put up a post, right? And then I don't. Zen Wen, good to see you. Z-Dub, one of my favorite people. If I don't put it up, the people who are super passionate about it are going to reach out and tell me anyway, right? And a bunch of you said they would just like to see this pushed back an hour. Like if we split the difference. A couple of days ago, I did a 2-hour later in the morning, and a lot of people loved it. And then there were people who said, oh, man, if you do that, I'm not going to be able to catch it. We're just trying to maximize and get as many people on each live as we can. Because what it comes down to is this. 2,000 or 3,000 people are going to watch this. We would like to get as many of those watching it live as possible, right? That would be a really good thing. Z-Dub, thank you. You are appreciated as always. Z-Dub has been supporting the Lifeboat since before. Yeah. Since before Jeremy Shelton watched Caddyshack 2 the first time. He's a fan, you know. Come to the beaches in Alabama? You mean like Gulf Shores? How about, do you know the little Gulf Shores, Alabama? I've been there. Why do all these lives seem short? I'll tell you why. Seriously?
Because we're having fun.
It's the hands. You see these huge hands and you think this is going to be a really long live feed. And then no matter what happens, it always seems like it's shorter than it should be. It's the hands. I've been dealing with this my entire life. You know what? I loved it down there. I really did. I had a ball in Gulf Shores. I went in for a family reunion. Spanky was there. Probably he may even remember that one. You remember that, Spanks?
I do. Slightly.
Your mom's family had a family reunion there. It was a very, very good time. All right, people.
Was that the trip I got stung by a jellyfish on?
It was the trip you got stung by a jellyfish on.
I remember peeing on my foot, and it felt better immediately.
Yes, you did.
I remember looking at Mom like, I have to what?
Yeah.
She was like, pee on it. I was like, are you sure?
I remember getting a kick out of that entire process myself. And I've always been of the firm belief that I don't know whether or not it really helps, but I think it gives something for somebody to do instantly. And I think that that's one of the things. My mom's doing well. Thank you for asking. I really I appreciate you asking. She's doing well. You got stung on your boob? Ouch. Not where you want to get stung. You thought it was the good company? Nope. It's all this. All right, people. I am Captain Tommy. That is my son, Spanky Calhoun. This right here is a cat in the basket. You want to say something? No?
Squirrel.
Nothing? All right. I'm going to be going back in today and starting to record again, people. I have already started the ASMR stuff. So hopefully, I'm not exactly sure how much longer it's going to take, but I've got more than an hour of it already done. And I'm going to get this done and edited and up for our Sleeping with Tommy segment. Balak A, good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. Anik Alexander, glad you're here. Z-Dub, Paint It Black, thank you all for being here. Cup of coffee. Have a beautiful day, everybody. And I will see you at some point between now and the and the night boat. You have my word. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.
Love you
What do you know,
guys.
Calhoun?